All right, I would very much like to give you homework time today, so I would love to move kind of quickly if we can. So if you need to redraw your expression, Matt, essentially all you really need is a line down the middle. A Sharpie that works would help. And we have Matt A and Matt B. And all we really care is that there's some line down the middle, because what we say about that dividing line down the middle is going to keep changing as we approach different problems. So the problem that you have on your handout in front of you with Jerry and Ken, if you would like to build Matt A for the left side of the expression and a Matt B for the right side, but now what symbol would go between Matt A and Matt B? What symbol is this? What do we call this? Bethany? Sorry, what? Ooh, it's the or equal to, but that normally comes after. If we're reading this left to right, guys, this symbol is saying what's on the left is less than or equal to. So this symbol, and I've got that in your math notes, it was on one of your homeworks, is less than or equal to. So what am I going to put on the left side to start? Well, how many x's are on the left side? 3. So if you haven't done so yet, put 3. Oh, that's a y. And not x squared. Lane, Raiden, you guys with me? It's a little easy to not pay attention back there in the corner. So Lane, what else is on that left-hand side? Left-hand side? Are you looking at your paper? Are you doing this with us, or are you just now catching up? All right. You just got to fight not paying attention back there, or we can, give you a different seat. Raiden, what else is on the left-hand side? We already have our 3 x's. So, gentlemen, you might not be seated in the best spot. Sam, what else is on the left-hand side? Turn to your neighbor and discuss, if we're doing this problem, your left-hand side, we already have 3x. There's something else over there. Carolina, please save me from my Groundhog Day existence, which if you've seen Groundhog Day, the movie, he keeps reliving the same thing over and over again. Carolina, what else is on the left-hand side? A -1. I know it looks like a minus, but we can't minus 1 from 3x. It is impossible, because we don't know what x is. So instead of calling this -1, we're going to call it -1. And then on the right-hand side, Ezekiel, what do we have on the right side? 2x. Take maybe like 30 seconds, talk to your partner. What could we do to try to clean this mat up as much as possible? Then we're going to write that work on our paper. Chat with each other. You guys know over tile without throwing it on your mat. Yes. Concerning the directions said get over tiles out, and that's what's in these names. You gotta put hide back here. Where's your 614621? The papers that were on the board today. What you need out. Okay, quit making excuses. Figure it out. Do something about it. 614 and 621. I don't understand why you were late when your creative starts right here. And you couldn't have done it during your class. Okay, I'll chat with him and catch up. Yeah. So you just cancel out these and then take the All right, so we on our paper are going to write what it is that we did. So if you didn't write anything here yet, that's good, because we're going to do this together. And if you did, we'll just make sure that we write the same stuff together. And cards that are getting shuffled back in. Sophia, Tell me something we could do to clean this up. Take away 2x from each side. So to show that, and this is one of the times where you'll actually see me using red. I like to use my red pen to show what we did. On both sides, what we're going to write on our paper, and I'm telling you guys, if you choose to do this right now, your life is going to be a whole lot easier. We take 2x off of both sides. Lane, it's more important that you write this down than that you get your tiles out right now. I know you're trying to catch up, but this is just the more important step. So 3x minus 2x, the left-hand side, I still am left with 1x. But don't forget about what else we still have. What do we also have on the left-hand side? The negative 1, which you could write as minus 1, or you could write plus negative 1. Does not make a difference, actually. What do we have on the right-hand side now? Nothing. That feels silly. On the left side, we have an X tile and a 1 tile. On the right side, we have no tiles. Donnie, you got a suggestion?
So, like, for me, what I did, we added 1 on each side to cancel the 1 over there and add 1 to the left.
Make sure you're listening, because this is the tricky part. We can add 1 to both sides. And why are we doing that? Now this makes 0 gone. And now, so guys, what we should write on our paper is we're going to add 1 to both sides. On both sides. And we get 1x is less than or equal to what? 1. And our answer here is just x is less than or equal to 1. Questions on what we did there? And now we want to graph this like we did last week for x is less than or equal to 1. So how do we graph this? I mean, obviously we draw a number line first. Ashley, what's the next step for graphing an inequality? Yeah, put the 1 there because the 1 is the number that we care about. And guys, I'm going to draw a little separating line on my paper to make sure that I keep my problems separate. Like this is separate. Just sometimes it's good to make sure our paper is kind of split apart. Jane, what do I do now that I put my 1 there? I put a circle around it. I do, so for x is less than or equal, ooh, it's to the left. And then Matt, do I fill in this circle? Is x allowed to be equal to 1 here? So do I fill in this circle? We are shading what x is allowed to be. Anyone, is x allowed to be 1? Yes, because or equal. The or equal to says we are allowed to be 1, so we're going to shade this in. We're shading everything that x is allowed to be. And you might want to make a note over here. X is allowed to be 1. Shade the 1. So I want you and your teammate to practice making 3 different number lines for, well, sorry, 2 different number lines for A and B. And then for C, what is the inequality that they have shown you? Take probably like 2 minutes. Try to do all 3 of these. And then start talking about 37 if you get the chance. Of what would these look like. You don't have to go ahead and draw these yet, but you could try. Guys, try to be working in pencil. I know some of you like to work in pen, but if you do this wrong, it's real hard to like scribble out an incorrectly shaded number line. Like you just have to abandon the whole thing. So like I would highly suggest that we're working in pencil right now. I know I'm working in pen, but like, come on, I teach this. All right, do 36. Try with your partner. You get stuck, ask Ask somebody. A different group. Ask me. Ask, I don't know. How do we say it? How do we graph it? Yep, 3 different parts. Like they are not related. 3 different parts. 2 number lines for A and B. And then C, what did they show us? Left here.
Why is your
If we put 2 together, fraction is.
So guys, I hear some of you discussing this number. This number doesn't really matter that much. It's just the number we care about. Just like 1 was the number we cared about up here. So the fact that this is negative 1.5 doesn't really matter that much. We just start by putting negative 1.5 on the number line. So you just make a mark and put negative 1.5. Sure, it's negative. If you want to put a 0, sure, you can put a 0, but none of that really matters. All that matters is, oh, like, here's the number we're talking about. So, I don't know if Safe went home or what happened.
No,
He switched.
Nobody told me that was actually happening. Kamal.
Wait, but doesn't that mean that we get a student from their class?
No, not necessarily. Let us take care of us and you take care of you, okay? Emery. Sorry, no, Kamal, but then Emery interrupted. Nope, your card's next, but you interrupted me calling on Kamal. Kamal, how do I deal with this? You want to talk me through? So I already put the number on the number line. What do I draw now? Draw what? Draw a circle. So hold on, that's an important part. Now, I know last time we did the arrow first, but if I draw that circle, am I shading in the circle here or no?
No.
Why no?
Because it doesn't have the little line underneath the...
Guys, if you can't think of this right now, you need to make some kind of note. This does not have the or equal. So do I shade this in? No. We're not allowed to be equal. So how do I read this?
X is less than negative 1.
Less than. So Kamal, which way do I shade? Which way shows less than? Yeah, the left is the numbers less than. It's going down. You guys need another moment for B? Emery, do you think you can do it?
Yep.
Like right now?
Yep.
All right, talk me through everything because I have not even started it.
Okay, so first you gotta make like the number line thing with both arrows, and then in the middle you write you get a little line, and there's 2.
Because the number we care about is 2.
And then you circle the 2 like the little line. So that is like, and then you make a little arrow shade to the right side, and you do fill in the circle.
So the right is because the greater than,
It's because that's.
but then or equal to, that is what shades in our circle.
Yep.
Questions? Because I see some people that either already have this done or aren't doing it. So I need you to try on your own because I know a lot of us didn't get a chance to do this. What is this telling us? X is what? Take a moment on your own first. We know the number that we're compared to. But what goes in between? Jack, you want to give this a shot? Are we shading less than 2 or greater than 2? So we're shading less than. If we need to go back to our math notes and double check what symbols we use. So we're shading less than. Are we allowed to be equal to 2? Yes. So we add the or equal x is less than or equal to 2. Questions here. Ezekiel? Yeah, I think that was a weird print thing. Like, yeah, you're right that it looks a little off shifted, but we're just going to use the nicer number. So if you use like 2.1 or 2.2, like that's totally fine. I want you to like conceptualize what these three different situations are and how we would show them graphically. So like, the number lines we've been doing. So in the first one, a speed that could get you a ticket. Could get you a ticket is what we're shading. In the second one, amount of money you can spend. And third one, height that can ride the roller coaster. You can do it on your own first, but then I'd love for you to chat with a neighbor and compare, like, hey, do you do this the same as me? So each of them is probably going to start with a number line. So if 65 is the speed limit, are you allowed to drive 65? So would 65 get you a ticket? Correct. Yeah. So we're shading what would get us a ticket. Well, read. The speed that could get a speeding ticket. I tried to put as much on the paper so you guys don't have to be able to see everything on the board. So guys, reminder, what we're talking about here is called the boundary point. The boundary point is the number that we care about. Right? It's that number that we're talking about, the number that we care about. Really the only thing that we need to label on our number line. Arfon, in A, what is our boundary point? What is the number that we care about? 65. I'm going to go ahead and put my number above just to keep some space because I'm a little tight here. So then, can you talk me through the rest of this problem? So I put a boundary point at 65. So above it would get a ticket. Would 65 get us a ticket? No. So what we have graphed here is x is greater than 65. Right? Not equal to, because you can go 65. We're talking about what will get you a ticket. And yeah, could you drive 67 and probably not get pulled over? Sure. But could they pull you over? Yes, you're breaking the law. You're going over the limit. Lane, if we're going to the mall and we're taking $10 with us, we want Y, now we switch and we're doing Y, to be any amount that we can spend. Now this one might actually need more than just one number on here. So give me a number that we're going to put on our number line. We're for sure going to use 10, but I'm actually going to put it up here a little bit. And we'll talk about why.
And then I shaded anything behind it. I circled it.
Okay, so hold on. So you circled it.
And then I shaded that
So why'd you shade it in?
Because you brought $10. You can spend all $10.
Yeah, Lane said I can spend all my money if I want.
And then I shaded anything behind it. You can spend less than $10.
Now, is there a point that we, like, can't keep going? Ah, so 0. Now, hold on. Crap. I'm talking and writing at the same time. Can we spend $0? I'm doing it right now. I'm spending $0. You ever go to the mall and not buy anything?
Yes.
Okay, well, you might not have good self-control.
Pretty proud of
But you
myself.
could spend 0. You could spend anything between 0 and 10, and you could spend 10. Sophie in C. What number do we care about? Yeah, 5 feet, but also 7. So we're going to have a 5. We're going to have a 7. All right, so the circle at the 5. What are we going to do with that? At least 5 feet. Is 5 at least 5? Yeah. So if you're 5 feet, you're allowed to ride. All right, what about the circle at 7 feet? Less than 7 feet. There must be some kind of safety concern once you're 7 feet tall. We cannot shade that because we cannot be 7 feet. There we go. Are you in this range? Some of you are, some of you are not. In 40, hey, I'm going to try to tell you how to do one of your homework problems. In 42, part B, I want to talk you through this real quick. I would stop writing and just listen if I was you, but hey, you're in charge of your life. 4/5 x, right? They use x there. My brain's getting all mixed up. All right. Put everything down and just listen for a moment. Guys, 4/5 of something is like saying I had 4x, like 4 pizzas or whatever, and then I divided that by 5. So 4 times x divided by 5 is the same thing as 4/5 x. It's also the same thing as if you had x divided by 5, like say you had a pizza divided by 5 people, and then someone said, actually, quadruple what you have and do times 4. 4/5 is, and I got some people totally not paying attention, and I won't care when you come to ask me for help on your homework. I'll say, go watch the video. This is multiplying by 4. And this is dividing by 5. Both are happening at the same time. Or you could break it apart and make them happen at separate times. But what I'm trying to tell you is if you only had 4x compared to 8, how could I get 4x back to just x? Divide by 4, right? We would divide by 4 on both sides. If you had x divided by 5 compared to 8, how could you undo division by 5? Multiply by 5, right? And that'll undo the division by 5. And if you want to put this on top to make it look better. So what we want to do is at the same time undo the multiplication by 4 and undo the division by 5. How can we undo multiplication by 4? Divide by 4. How can we undo division by 5? Ooh, careful. Multiply by 5 because we're undoing the division. So guys, if you multiply by a fraction's reciprocal. Remember, reciprocal. If you flip it over, 5 times 4 is 20. 4 times 5 is 20. What's 20 divided by 20? It's 1. Now the trick is, don't forget to do this on the right side. So we will also have times 5 over 4 over here, which to do that, you're probably going to want to put the 8 over top of a 1 to make your life easier. So there's your quick run through on how you deal with part B on your homework right there. You're trying to undo 2 things at once. Now, you don't have to do both things at once, but we can. Yeah.
So would the answer that be 8 over
Nope, moving on. Sorry, I'm not talking about the answer. I'm just talking about the process. Look at 48. Go ahead and start reading it with your partner. See if you can figure out how to set up like an expression or equation. And guys, you could use our algebra tiles. You could use these if you want. So start looking at our bowling pricing plan there. I made sure that all of your bins are restocked with highlighters because it's pretty darn important to highlight the important information. So Eli, as you guys are looking at our bowling problem here, what feels important? Okay, so keep going. That doesn't tell me anything yet.
Could I please see Lane Bergen in the Perry office for a moment? Lane Bergen, thank you.
So let's start talking some numbers, right? So we had a pricing plan. No, I know. We had a pricing plan. $3 to rent shoes, $4 per game. That feels important. Our boss is thinking about, and guys, we don't actually know if the price is going up because it depends. Did both prices go up? No. Shoes went up. What happened to games, though? They went down. Games went down. So I want you and your partner to work to answer these 2 questions in A and B. So if a customer rents shoes and plays 2 games, which plan is better? If the customer rents shoes and plays 7 games, because you always have to rent shoes, right? You gotta do the shoes. I know when we went with school we didn't have to, but other times they make you do the shoes. All right, chat with each other. What plan is cheaper for each different day? If you don't have this in front of you, you should. It's on 6.2.1. If it's not in front of you, it should be. It's back there. It was on the screen to get today. You got to make sure you're looking at the screen and not just going autopilot. Devin, if we were looking at our $3 to rent shoes, $4 per game, and we didn't know how many games we were going to play, could you help me write this out, like, with what we're going to pay if we don't know how many games? Ooh, $3 plus $4, but how many times will the $4 happen? Ooh, so I could say plus 4 times G, right? If I'm using G for games. If we didn't know how many games we were going to play, so then when we come down here for 2 games, we could just do 3 plus 4 times 2. What's 4 times 2? 8 plus 3? 11. Likewise, Bethany, could you help me with the boss's plan of what we could write for what he's going to charge? 11 plus what? No, what's he charge? $2 per game. Okay, so 2G, and guys, you can put the multiplication symbol there. Okay, so if we do 11 plus 2 times 2, what's 2 times 2? Plus 11? Ooh, so whose pricing plan was cheaper there? The old one or the new one? The old one, right? The old one was better here. So here we see the old is less. For 2 games, though. For 2 games. Sorry, that's a little hard to read. So wait, for 7 games... Okay, so that same sort of setup, right? Except for 3 plus 4 times 7 versus... our 11... Right, because now the games we're playing is 7. So it's the difference between 2 games, plugging in as 2, and 7 games, plugging in as 7. What's 7 times 4?
28.
Plus 3 more?
41.
Careful.
31.
It's not just about speed. 2 times 7? Plus 11? Ooh, wait a minute.
29.
25.
Hey, Emery, maybe slow down a little bit. You're making silly mistakes. So wait, hold on. I thought we said the old plan was cheaper.
It depends.
But now the old plan is more expensive than the new plan? Is there a point when they'd be equal? If you need to pull out your graph paper that you most definitely have out, because we always have graph paper out, I want you to try to solve when could, hey, check it, here's what we're doing. R3 plus 4G, when could that be equal to, when would the plans match each other, R11 plus 2G? And instead of G's, we can think of these like X's. And if you need to use your expression mat, use your expression mat. Except instead of saying like not equal, now we're going to say they're going to be equal. So if I want to set this up, I could do 3 plus 4G. I could do 11 and 2G. Good thing I have these 5 tiles to make my life easier. 11... 2G, OG. All right, we're running out of time. I think we could probably do this together. Aside from people that I skipped, I think I made it through most people. At least maybe it didn't call on you, but you called on yourself potentially. All right, shuffle, 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 shuffle. What could I do to this mat? Jane, what could I do? Sorry, do what? Matt and I were exchanging a look and I got lost in thought. Are you saying take away 1 or take away x's? Okay. So, I mean, Jane said either, but I'm going to take that as a both. I could take away... Well, let's start with the x's, since that'll clean this up the most. If I take away x's from both sides, I can do 2. On our paper, what we could write is minus 2g. It's what we did to both of them. So now, okay, 3 plus 2g still remains over there equals 11. What should I do to both now? Anybody?
Minus 3.
Hey, stick with me real quick and I promise I'll get you out of here. I'm not going to do it with the tiles now because I'm running out of time. If I subtract 3 from both sides. Hey, stop packing up. Stop moving. Sit down. Stop moving. If I subtract 3 from both sides, then we get down to 2g equals, what's 11 minus 3?
9.
You need to slow down.
But it's not.
11 minus 3 is 8. 11 minus 3 is 8. We're not here to throw a pity party. How do I undo 2 times g? Divide by 2. And when these pricing plans would be equal is if you played 4 games. All right, have a great day, guys. If you don't remember how to do this on your homework, come back to the video.